I realized I confused chemistry for connection. Lately, I realized my attachment styles fluctuate depending on the kind of person I'm dealing with and overall what the circumstance is. There's been times where my attachment is anxious or it's avoidant or it's fearful, avoidant, if you understand what attachment styles are. And I'll go ahead and briefly explain them. Attachment styles are basically your way of connecting with a person. Basically, if you have two people, right, and they're attracted to each other, normally they're gonna have one or maybe two of 4 to 5 attachment styles. You have secure. Secure attachment is a healthy attachment with yourself, a healthy attachment with your higher power, whatever you believe in, right? Then you have anxious attachment. Anxious attachment is when your feelings are dependent upon somebody else, more so codependent almost. Codependent on their validation, codependent on a text from them, a call from them, attention. Whenever they're pulling away or whenever they need space, the anxious attachment tends to literally get anxious and want to be closer to the person who needs space. Now, on the other spectrum, you have the avoidant attachment, right? You have the person who is quite hard to reach sometimes, likes to go ghost, needs their space, and just chooses to remove themselves from the situation before they can have somebody remove them from the situation. They much rather avoid being vulnerable. They avoid deep intimacy. Of course, you'll get a bit of it. You'll get some of it to an extent, but you won't get all of it because I think that it boils down to just trying to protect themselves. And then you have disorganized attachment styles, which is almost it's a mix of all of them. So you have disorganized, you have anxious, you have avoidant, you have secure, and then like I said, you may have a 2-in-1, like fearful avoidant or anxious avoidant. But just do your research on that. But before I get any deeper into attachment styles, I recently thought I was in a relationship, which subconsciously, deep down in my mind, deep down in my heart, I knew we weren't in a relationship because it was all chemistry. Chemistry is easy, but chemistry is something where it feels good in the moment. You can enjoy somebody's presence without necessarily having a full-on connection with them. Connections take time. Connections are built through shared experiences, values, trust, consistency, communication. So that's where I was at with this woman at the time. I was feeling her, she was feeling me, but I realized like I was too emotionally invested, and it was causing me to sway in whatever I'm doing. Like if I'm going to work, I start feeling bad, or I'm constantly thinking about her while I'm at work, and I'm feeling bad because she didn't text me back, or I haven't heard from her today. I shouldn't even have gave her that sort of access so early. Of course, when she becomes my girlfriend, but that's something that you earn. You know what I'm saying? Same thing with a business partner or relationships. Period. This could go with family. That's where the trust and consistency aspect comes from. So consistency builds the trust. You see what I'm saying? I think I gave her my trust too early. I gave her the benefit of the doubt too early, and that was just me being open. That was me finally being vulnerable. But as I keep going through these being vulnerable stages, I realize like, I'm done rushing labels. Like I'm gonna just let people reveal themselves over time through their actions like I normally do. And I can't let my feelings or the chemistry in the moment dictate how I'm gonna treat them from here on out. Same thing with I don't know if y'all ever heard of like, I'm not gonna even use the term frenemies, but basically sometimes when somebody keeps it so real with you, you end up not liking them. But over time you realize like they keep it real with you because it's coming from a place of, first of all, they respect themselves, and then they care about you enough to keep it real with you, right? And over time their actions show. You may have not liked them at first. A lot of people don't like me at first, and a lot of people do. That's why you can't really go off the initial chemistry, right? Of course, you definitely got to read their energy and have your discernment on point, but all I'm saying is consistency builds the trust. So if you don't necessarily like them at first, but they keeping it real with you, they got your back, you know they're not gonna lie to you. It's like over time you gain respect, you gain trust, and then you finally start to like them. But it can go the other way around. You might start off liking somebody, but you know they're a flatterer. They'll tell you what you want to hear, and then they'll lie, and they'll backstab, and they'll break promises to you, and now you don't like them. So that's why you can't go based off chemistry. You can't go head first in certain, relationships, because trust is earned, it's not given. As much as you do want to give, you can't give all of it, right? So I had to realize like I don't need answers as fast as I thought I did, whether this comes to relationships, business, life in general. Like, time is going to reveal what emotions can, and that's the simplest way I can put it. Time reveals what emotions can. Same thing with doing this video. I didn't want to shoot this video today. Why? Because I was in my feelings. And I'm not going to just sit here and play like I was in my feelings, but I was definitely feeling some type of way, and that almost caused me not to shoot a video. And I realized like I'm not going to block out my emotions. I'm not going to block out the fact that I'm human and I have a heart, but it's like I can't let those things block me from the goals that I have already set before I even met this person. If anything, I feel like it's definitely refining me, because if I can go through like ups and downs of, emotional roller coasters, and I'm still doing what I need to do, that's a testament to my character. That's a testament to the kind of person I am when things aren't necessarily as smooth as I like them to be. But I know it's a fork in the road. It's like either you gonna sit in and be like self-loathing and just be all in your feelings, or you gonna feel those feelings and use that as fuel to become better. So you realize like, okay, I don't want this to happen again. How can I make this not happen again? Same thing, just like making a bad video. You'll shoot your first video, you be like, damn, this is bad as hell. And you gotta go through that feeling like, damn, I really don't like the way I look. I really don't like the way I talk. I really don't like the way I articulate my ideas. But you feel that and you use that as fuel, to refine yourself and make yourself better, rather than go the other way and be like, bro, you know what? Maybe this content shit isn't for me. Maybe I'm just gonna leave it alone. Maybe they was right. So you gonna come to a fork in the road, and you gonna know which direction you want to go. But it's up to you to make that decision, because a lot of us, we know what decision we're supposed to make, and then we just go with the easier decision, which is to just stop. So that's really all I got for y'all. I realized I confused chemistry with connection, and I gotta stop that. I gotta slow down. I gotta allow the trust to be built, and that comes with me detaching from the outcome. That comes from me, not trying to force anything, because a lot of things I do want, but I can't force it, just like the life I want, just like, I feel like I'm rambling in this video, but I'm just talking, bro. This is between us, right? Eventually, I do want a wife. I do want, children and things of that nature, but not at the expense of my future, not at the expense of my legacy and my mental peace. You know what I'm saying? Of course, not everything is going to be peaceful. It's going to be chaos. It's going to be, certain moments, but I'd rather get myself together now than be spiraling over a female or a relationship. Even like simple relationships and associates at work. I don't like everybody I work with, but over time I see what stands once the emotions of liking and not liking somebody wears off, because those all wear off, but the actions are going to be there day in and day out. And if they aren't there day in and day out, that's still an action. That's called inconsistency. So when you see that, you got to just take it for what it is. You can't fall in love with the potential, because everybody has so much potential, but only a handful of us actually reach or surpass that potential. So that's all I can say. I'm not rushing labels anymore. I'm not rushing anything anymore. I'm just take my time, and like I said, we're gonna let time reveal what emotions can. Your boy Cameron Mitchell is out.